Hi guys, welcome back to Movie Recap. In this video, I'm going to recap one of the films from 2013, The Family. Without any further, let's get started. In an early scene of the movie, mafia hitman Rocco mistakenly kills a family of 4 Italians, believing they are the Manzoni family. He even cuts off the father's finger as proof. The scene then shifts to the real Manzoni family, who are moving to Normandy, France, under the FBI's witness protection program after leaving the United States. Giovanni, the father, is also a former mafia boss. His wife, Maggie, their children, Warren and Belle, and their dog, Malavita, accompany him, constantly relocating and changing identities because Don Lucchese, a rival mafia leader, once tried to have Giovanni killed. Giovanni retaliated by reporting him to the authorities, which led to Lucchese's imprisonment. Since then, Lucchese's men have been searching for Giovanni to get revenge. Late at night, the family arrives at their new home. After turning on the lights and starting a fire, Giovanni pretends to walk around and inspect the house, but in truth, he removes a body from his car trunk and buries it in the backyard. The next morning, everyone prepares to begin their new life. Maggie explores the town to see what it has to offer. At the cafe she visits, the waitress unintentionally confirms Maggie's concern that the town is small and quiet. She then goes to a convenience store to buy food. While there, she overhears the clerk and a few customers making negative remarks about Americans, assuming she can't understand them because they're speaking French. Upset, she quietly takes a container of alcohol from the shelf, places it in the storeroom, and tosses in a lit match. After paying quickly for her groceries, she leaves just before the explosion. She later stops at a fast food restaurant where her loud sipping surprises the customers, and then visits the church, where she has a friendly conversation with the priest. Warren and Belle start at their new school. Warren soon runs into trouble with a group of bullies who beat him up in the restroom after he talks back to them. At lunch, he meets Belle and shares what he has already learned about the students there. He also begins forming a small, organized group of his own. After school, Belle heads home, but 4 teenage boys follow her in their car and invite her to hang out. Belle refuses at first, but when she finds herself lost, she decides to accept their offer. Instead of taking her home, the boys bring her to a lakeside spot where teenagers usually gather. When she asks to go home, the leader quietly tells her to stay and relax and then lowers her dress strap. Not willing to let this continue, Belle retrieves a tennis racket from the car and hits him with it, warning the others to treat women more respectfully. She then drives their car back to her house. Meanwhile, Giovanni goes to the property gate to smoke a cigarette, even though it isn't allowed. He soon notices FBI agents watching him from nearby and returns inside. He checks the glass garden shed, sorting through various items until he finds a typewriter that still works. He decides it's time to start writing his memoir, describing how he took over the family business founded by his grandfather. When he pauses for a break, he meets a neighbor in their shared backyard, and when asked about his profession, invents a story about being a writer. Elsewhere, at a New York City prison, a police officer hands Don Lucchese the thumb recovered from the earlier killing. After comparing fingerprints, they realize Rocco murdered the wrong man. Lucchese then orders the search to continue. Later that evening, while the Manzoni family is having dinner, FBI agent Robert Stansfield visits them. He listens to Giovanni's explanation and then asks about a local store owner who recently disappeared. Giovanni denies knowing anything, though he had killed the man earlier for selling him seafood he claimed was fresh, but that turned out to be frozen. That was the body Giovanni had brought in the trunk. Stansfield reminds him to avoid causing trouble, then informs him that agents DiCicco and Mimo will be watching over the family from the house across the road. Giovanni goes to bed with Maggie later that night and has a nightmare about the barbecue party he once hosted, an event during which Lucchese had planned an attack.
Yeah.
The next day, when Giovanni becomes overly preoccupied with his writing, Maggie demands to know what he's writing about and starts to worry when she learns it's his memoir, since that may get them in serious trouble. After asking Giovanni to check the tap water since it comes out brown and the plumber she phoned won't show up, She picks up a tray of food she's prepared and heads out to take it to Di Chico and Mimo. Warren is starting to connect with the right people at school by using stolen products and information to persuade them to work for him. In contrast, Belle had to punch a girl in the restroom for stealing her pencil case. Additionally, she spots a really attractive man in the cafeteria, and Warren tells her that Henry is a college student filling in as a math class replacement. Every girl at the school wants him. Belle has a strategy, but she will face fierce opposition if she decides to pursue him. After class, she approaches Henry and requests private math lessons, which he agrees to. In the meantime, Warren meets his bullies outside the school and uses the connections he's built to beat them all up. When the plumber arrives at the house more than 40 minutes late, Giovanni becomes irritated. After looking at the problem, the man's attempt to replace every pipe in the house needlessly only makes Giovanni feel worse. Giovanni then uses the tools he finds in the basement to beat him up and then puts the body in the plumber's own van to take him to the hospital. The doctor finds it hard to believe how the man's body could have so many broken bones from just falling down the stairs. While Rocco meets the seafood business owner's family and murders them all for not knowing Giovanni, he is still writing his memoir, describing how he used to maintain his former Brooklyn neighborhood. In the evening, Maggie scolds him for what he did to the plumber, and Giovanni retaliates by reminding her of the explosion she caused at the convenience store. Giovanni becomes excited as she talks about her obsession with fire, and the couple becomes cozy on the couch. On the weekend, the family invites all of their neighbors to a barbecue party, which they don't particularly like, but Stansfield pushed so they could better integrate into the neighborhood. When Maggie asks about Henry, the guy she's invited, and reminds her to wear protection, Belle assures Maggie that she won't be having a quickie in a classroom. She will pick the perfect time and place with the love of her life. Then Warren shows up with a variety of drink bottles and instructs his mother to cook American food instead of French food.
Color, noise, and excess.
DiCicco and Mimo are also permitted to leave their watchroom and participate in the festivities. Giovanni is the only person missing, and Belle finds him in the garden shed. This kind of writing about his life has been like spending hours staring at himself in the mirror, and he has come to the realization that he regrets not being a better parent to his kids and putting them in such difficult situations. But Belle disagrees, telling him that she thinks he's the world's greatest father. Giovanni, feeling more upbeat now, attends the party, only to become agitated once more when the neighbors attempt to show him how to light a grill fire. Giovanni imagines all the ways he could torment them for being impolite. Thankfully, the newly arrived Stansfield stops Giovanni before he can do anything foolish. During their private conversation, Stansfield tells Giovanni that the White House is concerned about the book he is writing because it might put a lot of people in danger. Giovanni, however, claims he is doing it for himself and has no intention of making it public. Additionally, he informs him that Giovanni's disclosure of Luchese has been the FBI's greatest publicity to date. In order to live a safer life, an increasing number of members of Giovanni's former mafia organization are now providing information in exchange for protection. At the end of the party, Belle is saddened by Henry's absence. The next day, Giovanni visits the mayor to talk about the brown water issue. However, the man is unable to come up with a solution, so Giovanni imagines himself beating him up before leaving the office without causing any problems. Giovanni goes to the water company, where he verifies that the water is already contaminated by the time it reaches the reserves. One of the staff members hints that the source of the problem is a nearby fertilizer factory. Giovanni visits the factory, but the manager is unhelpful and rude. In response, Giovanni ties him to the back of his car and drags him down the road until he confesses. The manager explains where to locate the turbine that needs to be turned down to restore clean water. Giovanni warns him never to tell anyone what happened, leaves him with his bike in the middle of the road, and takes the information he needs. When Giovanni returns home, Stansfield is reading his book. Although he thinks the book is good, he still criticizes Giovanni for creating it in the first place. Meanwhile, Maggie continues attending church, where the priest persuades her to confess, promising that everything she says will remain private. However, the priest is so unsettled by her revelations that he forbids her from ever returning to his church. At school, Warren has agreed to write for the school newspaper, but fails to do so. Instead, he copies Luchase's writings from when he first met him as a child. The newspaper keeps getting passed around, once used on airplanes or as wrapping, until it reaches Luchase's cell. The old man immediately recognizes the remark and sends his men to Normandy to locate Giovanni. After class, Belle visits Henry at his classroom. Once she shuts the door, they make love against it. That evening, a neighbor who attended a barbecue invites Giovanni to a monthly community film event. After watching a film, they discuss it, and the neighbor requests Giovanni's guidance the next time they screen an American classic. Giovanni accepts, but Stanfield soon arrives, warning that it's a bad idea because the FBI monitors his calls. Giovanni disagrees and convinces Stanfield to accompany him, seeing it as a chance to show that they fit in. The next day, the school board learns about Warren's violent and illegal behavior. After leaving a doll on his seat to mislead the FBI, Giovanni slips out to sabotage the turbine responsible for the brown water. Meanwhile, Henry calls Belle to say he's enjoying himself, but she learns he only saw their relationship as a fling. Henry plans to live in Paris, breaking Belle's heart. Later, Giovanni and Stanfield attend the movie screening and discover they will be watching Goodfellas. Stanfield thinks this is a terrible idea, but Giovanni argues that leaving before the film starts would appear more suspicious. Warren returns home to obtain cash and fake documents to travel to Paris and start an illegal business like his father did at 13. He bids farewell to his sister, who is heartbroken over her feelings for Henry. After the film ends, Giovanni is asked about his opinion on how real New York feels. Unable to resist, he shares stories from his life as a mob boss, which the audience believes are fictional. Disapproving, Stanfield calls DeCicco and Mimo to gather the family and prepare a backup plan, fearing Giovanni is out of control. Meanwhile, Warren waits at the station to board the train to Paris, while Belle stands on an apartment roof, threatening to commit suicide if Henry doesn't take her back. At the same time, the siblings see a gang of mafia hitmen entering the town. Unable to reach their parents because Maggie missed a call, they decide to return home to warn them. The hitmen kill all the staff, use the police station's data to locate Giovanni, murder the firefighters, and slash the fire truck's tires. As Maggie meets DeCicco and Mimo to inquire about her children, who are not at home, an explosion rocks the city. Giovanni had set the device to go off at this exact moment, using the chaos as an alibi. After dropping him off at his house, Stanfield warns Giovanni not to leave while he goes to speak with the police. Maggie also wants to go home, but as soon as she steps outside, she spots the mysterious, black-clad men. She quickly returns inside with DeCicco and Mimo and tries to contact her husband, but he doesn't answer. When the hitmen reach the house, they detonate it, killing any neighbors who come out to investigate. Fortunately, Giovanni survives by hiding in the garden after hearing Malavita bark as a warning. Maggie wants to reach him, but as DeCicco and Mimo approach the door, one of the hitmen kills them immediately and threatens Maggie. Giovanni arrives at that moment, leaping on the attacker and suffocating him from behind. Maggie finds a knife and fatally stabs the hitman. The remaining hitmen focus on surveying the ruins and debate whether to kill the dog. Warren and Belle arrive and retrieve some of the hitmen's weapons from their cars. In the ensuing gunfight, most of the hitmen are killed by Warren and Belle, except for Rocco. After recoil knocks Warren unconscious, Belle leaves him behind and flees, hoping that Rocco's lack of ammunition will work in her favor. Rocco pursues her until Stansfield unexpectedly appears and runs him over with his car. Even though the hitmen are dead, the family must relocate and adopt new identities since their cover has been blown. Giovanni is relieved to have shared his story with a large audience, even though many initially assumed it was fake.
In fact, the only thing's again, son of a bitch.
Thanks for watching, and remember to turn on your notifications to watch more movie recaps like this one.